Hello there and welcome back to Project 52, where the goal is to produce 52 tracks in 1 year, and today we are starting week 18, so we are pretty far already. So let's get right to it and produce this week's track. I've been trying to shorten my intros all this time that I've been recording this series, and I think that was my shortest intro yet, so kudos to me, I guess. Last week I tried to produce a track without using any drums in it, and I think it was pretty successful considering that I think I have never tried that before, so that was pretty cool. This week I'm already missing my drums, so I'm gonna try to do something very rhythmic and drum heavy maybe this week, I don't know, but I just started to play around with some drums a couple of days ago and I made a drum loop, and that's the idea for this week. So let me play you first what I've done so far, and this bass sound I added just like 10 minutes ago or something, so I don't know if this is the right place for it. Maybe we'll push it back a bit and add some chords in between, but other than that I think the intro is how it's going to be. I don't know, maybe we'll add some small details, but anyway, here's everything that I've done for this week's track, so week 18 of Project 52. So as I said, we have the drum loop that I made. It sounds like this. The other elements that we have so far, there are only 3 of them on top of the drums. First one is just some sort of background noise. And it just continues. And then we have the main chords that come in. This is a preset from Analog Lab. And then the last element that we have is this bass sound that I just made, and it sounds like this on its own. So for some reason I just heard this rhythm in my head when I listened to the track without the bass. I just drew the rhythm in the LFO creator in Faceplant, and then just tried to modulate anything and everything within Faceplant, and this is what I turned up with. It doesn't sound that fancy on its own. But it works in the mix, so I'll just keep it there. Before we go any further, I'll just mention that I have very little time to record today, like maybe 15 minutes or something, because I have a lot going on. You probably already know what I mean, because I might have released a video explaining everything before this goes live. But anyway, I just have a lot to do and I have very little time to record today. But what we can't do today, or don't have time to do today, we'll do that tomorrow before I release the video. So we'll try to move fast and get this track in some sort of shape before we have to release this week's video. Alright, so as I said, I think I want to push back the bass like further, I don't know what this is, maybe 8 bars or something, and add some sort of additional ambience chords in the background of the main chords. So I'll first just copy the drums and also the chords, and let's jump into Analog Lab V, surprisingly, to look for some sort of chords or ambience in the background. Okay, what are the chords? I think we are, first it's A minor, A, this is an E, not an A, E minor, and then it is some sort of D major with E in there as well. I don't know what this is called, but that's what I've written here. And then we have, I think that's C major. And then lastly, we go back to basic D major. All right, so just so I can get somewhere in today's session, in like arrangement wise, I'll keep that. It's not my favorite, it doesn't fit the mix very well, but I'll keep it as a placeholder for the future. So let's try to think about the arrangement a tiny bit before I have to go for today. I'll just copy the drums in here. Could we just duplicate the percussion? I think it would work if we would just bring down the volume a little bit. Maybe 3 dB or something. That could work. Alright, so I really have to go now, but let's try to find a slightly better sound for this, and then I'll, maybe later today if I have time, I'll try to make some sort of arrangement out of the idea, and tomorrow we'll just finalize everything and hopefully add some more cool elements before the track is finished. I don't know, but now I have to end for today, unfortunately. So I'll come back to you tomorrow and we'll try to finish this week's track to resemble even vaguely a finished piece. So see you tomorrow. All right, welcome back. As I said, it's been a crazy couple of days and actually even the past couple of weeks. The time I'm able to put into this week's track is not going to be very much, unfortunately, but we are going to have one more session today and get some sort of track out of this week. It doesn't matter if it's not the best one, it's not going to be the best one, but we are still going to finish a track, which is the most important part. I don't quite remember where we left off yesterday. Maybe we added this part here. Maybe we even added the drums. I remember I had the kick drum hitting in this. Oh, actually, if I want to hear something, I might want to use these. So as I was saying, I remember that I had the kick drum hitting like every second beat or something like that. But then I just, after ending the recording yesterday, I just tried using the same kick drum pattern that we have in the first drum loop, which is like this. So then I just decided to copy it here and it sounded way better than my original kick drum idea. So you probably already remember how the beginning sounded like. So let me just play the break part here to you again with the new kick drum pattern. It sounds pretty cool. I did a tiny bit of mixing before I started the recording today, and I might have taken a bit too much low end out of the sides of the bass sound. It sounds a bit too sterile at the moment, so let me just bring this tiny bit to the left. Maybe that's better. So I don't know what else we could add in this tiny break part here. It's a bit empty, but it could be fixed by just adding, I don't know, maybe reverb? Not reverb, I mean delay for the chord sounds. Oh, my keyboard isn't on. So this is the sound I mean. So let's try that. Let's try to add delay. And then after this section, we are at 1:49. So because this week's track is going to be kind of rushed anyway, we could just go into some sort of outro. I don't know what type of outro I'm gonna do, but let me try to first figure out this section here. And I know yesterday I said that I'm going to change the chords here, but as it usually goes, when you listen to them a couple of times, you get used to them and then you don't feel the urge to change them anymore. So I think we are also going to keep these chords. I just need to mix them a little bit better. All right, so let's jump into this section next. Why is there so much low end in this one percussion? I haven't high pass filtered any of these percussions. Actually, before I do that, look at this. What? Why? Okay, let's take it out. And also, I think it's too loud in the mix anyway. Alright, so I'll try to play around with SSF first, a little bit for the bass, if I can, I don't know, come up with something. And if it doesn't work, we'll add some other sound to make the section here capable of supporting itself, so to say. I want to make these percussions a bit tighter. They're a bit too long at the moment. Or maybe something like that. Okay, now let's bring back the kick and the snare. So we shall bring up the cutoff frequency. Should we like bring it up slowly across this section? Let's make the ride a bit shorter as well. I just noticed that the snare might not be in key. Yeah, this one, I don't care. It doesn't have to be. There's so much I could do in here, which is rare. Usually nothing really sounds good, but in this case, I don't know, so many things could work. I want to add some sort of strings in there. I just hear them in the background, so I gotta do it, even though it probably takes a while for me to find the right sound. My fingers, what are they doing? You should see my playing. It's so floppy today. I don't know what's happening. You know what, now that I think about it, we could just not make the note go like arpeggio, because there's already so much rhythm going on that we don't need yet another rhythmic element that you need to concentrate to. This could just add the tiny bit of ambience that we are looking for. So you could just drone in the background, so to say. what's happening in here? I don't know what that was. Okay, that's not perfect. It was not as I expected or as I imagined it in my head, but we'll go with that anyway so we can move forward. I spent way too much time on that. All right, so what did we have in here? This one actually would have been better for this section here. Let's have a listen. Alright, we actually might swap these. Alright, there goes the MIDI that I spent 30 minutes on, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Alright, as simple as that. It doesn't have to be more complicated. That's cool. Let's use that. Alright, so this was a cool sound, but this is not the sound that we are going to use after all. I'm sorry. What I'm going to do is now just copy the intro drums into the end as an outro, and then we'll just maybe, I don't know, use the intro chords in the outro as well, just to bring back something familiar from the beginning. Maybe without the kick drum. Alright, that's it. I might add something, just a couple of samples if I have time. Then I'll maybe change this sound here, and after that just mix and master everything, and that's it for this week's track. Okay, that's enough for this week. I'll do those tiny little changes and then just play you the whole track as I always do, so you can have a listen to the full finished piece. Once again, sorry about the rush this week. I hope you still enjoyed the video. The track actually is pretty good considering that I have spent like 4 hours combined, or not even that. So that's pretty cool to notice that we are actually starting to be able to make arrangements very quickly and not just loops and isolated ideas. So that's very cool to see, in my opinion. Okay, that's enough of talking. Here's the track. I hope you like it. I hope you also like the video. Press the like button if you did. Also press the subscribe button if you'd like to see the future videos. And if you'd like to join the challenge of producing 1 track per week for 1 year straight, you can do so by following the link in the description that will take you to the Digsample Discord server. And in there we have a text channel called Project 52 where we share our tracks each week and give feedback to other people. So that has been really cool so far. I want to thank everybody who has joined even for 1 week. It has been super cool to hear your tracks. Alright, that's it for this video. Here's the track for week 18 of Project 52, and I hope to see you next week for week 19. So see you then. Bye bye.